Hello, and welcome back to another video. This is the 5th episode of story in which Naruto is grandson of Madara Uchiha. Naruto learns of this when his Sharingan activates. Let's see how Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha takes world by storm. After you've finished watching, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Are you ready, Karen? Naruto's voice summons her from elsewhere in the apartment. Yup. Karen chirps back at him, straightening the ponytail she'd put her hair in and tucking her bangs back neatly. Naruto had asked her a few weeks prior to get an eye test with a doctor that he seemingly trusts. The reason he gave her was straightforward: if your eyes are damaged, then I can fix them. An Uzumaki's body is meant to be free from the flaws that many normal people possess. He finds it hard to believe that someone with chakra as powerful as hers, civilian or otherwise, would have eyesight so bad that she is essentially crippled without her spectacles. His grandfather apparently taught him the delicate nature of healing damaged eyes, and for good reason. Naruto wouldn't be helpless without his sight, but he'd certainly be less capable. Ever since the conclusion of the Chunin exam in Vision, Naruto had been getting sent out constantly on missions as a team leader. Their iteration of Team 7 hadn't officially been dissolved, but they all had little time to spend with each other when their skills were required elsewhere. Not that they didn't spend time together, but Naruto and Sasuke have especially busy schedules. 2 Jounin and 2 Chunin on one squad is a bit unnecessary. If Naruto's prediction of a retaliation war occurred, skilled and confident ranked officers would be needed in the upcoming conflicts in order to replace the older and weary shinobi left over from the last war, Kyuubi attack, and most recent invasion. Plus, Naruto had been spending an excessive amount of time studying medical ninjutsu with the little free time he had. There is always a cage bunshine of him at home toiling over borrowed scrolls, and he would only tell her that it's going to be a surprise. He insisted on teaching her that jutsu as well, to accelerate his training of her in order to defend herself from undesirables. She has an unshaking admiration of Uzumaki Kushina from Jiraiya's stories of her, and who better to help live up to her role model than her son who'd inherited that burning ambition. Of course, her clanmate coaches her in the correct use of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu by providing a succinct and accurate answer as to why she shouldn't make hundreds of them when she clearly can. Kage Bunshin get dumber with the more you make, Naruto says, not looking up from his book on flesh rejuvenation with Airyo Ninjutsu. They are composed entirely of chakra, and that chakra is required for their brain to function and return memories to the original user of the jutsu. If you make too many clones, you'll just spawn a bunch of idiot versions of yourself that can't actually comprehend what you're trying to learn. 10 at most if you're not in a fight, Karen. Dogpiling Naruto with a bunch of her own self is still fun. Are you ready or not, woman? Karen rolls her eyes with a huff and smile. I'm coming, hold your horses. She hollers at him. She gives herself a cursory glance in the mirror to make sure she's living up to her own vanity. One quick tug on her pale yellow blouse to straighten out the Uzumaki swirl on its back, and she goes to put her sandals on. Naruto has already put his on, but he isn't afforded the opportunity to dress how he wants to with how often he gets called out to lead teams on missions. Even now, he's kitted out in a green officer flak jacket, with the tail of his black Uchiha coat sticking out underneath. His hair is really the wildest part of him, being relatively unchanged aside from length, but the dark bangs seem to make his perpetually active Sharingan stand out even more. It seems to make other people nervous, but Karen has yet to find a reason to be scared of the beautiful crimson eyes that had done nothing but protect her in the 6 months she'd known Naruto. Tsunade-sama wants her Jounin to set good examples for each other. Naruto is just waiting to grow strong enough to not be considered just a Jounin and be given more leeway with how he operates as a shinobi in Konoha's military system, including wearing whatever the hell he wants. Karen bounds down the short hallway to put her sandals on at the door, and finds Naruto sitting there waiting, impatiently for her. I'm still surprised that you managed to book a doctor, aren't they super busy right now? Karen asks idly, sitting down next to him. It's a miracle she herself had managed to get a day off, given her new status as the Hokage's office assistant. One of them, at least. I used to be a pretty regular patient to the doctor I booked with, Naruto reveals, blowing a spiky bang back into place. Plus, I gave him a tip to bet on me in the Chunin exam finals. He was willing to slip you in to return the favor. She grins at the blatant example of Naruto's strength giving them privileges. It had been 6 months since the exams, but the damages caused by the summons rampaging through the village had caused significant changes to infrastructure, including doctors' surgeries. It isn't easy to get an appointment when the backlog has intensified due to needing to share space with other important services. One more tug and her sandals are on. She bounces to her feet and gives Naruto a hurried order. Let's go. New glasses await. You don't know where we're going yet. Hurry up. Bossy woman. Kakashi and Sasuke stand before their Hokage and her advisors, in addition to Jiraiya. The topic of their discussion being one Uchiha Naruto, de facto leader of the Uchiha clan. It is an unspoken acknowledgement from all of Konoha's populace that the grandson of Uchiha Madara is essentially the crown prince of the village. But the Hokage must look at him objectively and see that Naruto has been singularly selfish, and save for a few interactions with people close to him, he appears to be disconnected from Konoha itself and therefore presents a flight risk if he's not reeled in. If Naruto wants more than Konoha can provide, Tsunade's advisors believe that he may end up following his grandfather's footsteps too closely and abandon the village, robbing Konoha of the most potent bloodline seen in a century. Jiraiya vehemently disagrees. Naruto has already willfully surrendered the key to Sasuke's seal, without it being requested of him, I might add. He did so to absolve himself of responsibility of Sasuke if he loses control of the Nibi. Koharu argues, mild in tone. Homura pushes up his glasses and continues on for Koharu. And as I recall, he refused to sign the Dode contract despite the significant advantages it would provide. The only reason he gave, of which he refused to elaborate on, was they don't suit me. We find it hard to believe that a boy who is single-mindedly obsessed with power, would refuse the opportunity to gain more. To that end, we conclude that Naruto didn't want to sign the contract because he believes that Konoha could use it against him, as in the case of reverse summoning. Jiraiya is having none of it, and Sasuke finds himself surprised that the normally goofy old man is so stern and methodical when he provides his own counterpoint. And something you don't know as a seal master, is that a summoning contract doesn't just allow the ability to call forth summons. It's a contract seal that links the person who signed it to the realm that the animals come from. That kind of bond creates changes in the chakra of the person who signed it to acclimate their bodies to the kinds of chakra that these summons use. With how powerful Naruto's chakra is and his aptitude for the Sharingan, it may very well weaken him instead of helping. It's a Kekkei Genkai for a reason. You both clearly need to think long term. If Naruto is going to sign a contract, then it's going to be a summon that he can synchronize to with little long-lasting effects on him as a whole. Sasuke is surprised that a summoning contract actually has that kind of effect on the summoner. A distinctly feminine voice echoes in his mind. This contract that Jiraiya Dono speaks of would make it far easier to learn Senjutsu. For those with the capacity for it. The faded look in his eyes when Nibi speaks to him makes the others in the room look at him. Sasuke? Are you well? Tsunade asks him, but her eyes are all business. The Nibi spoke to me. It does that sometimes. Everyone in the room straightens up. Is it communicating with you? Homura questions sharply. Yeah, Sasuke doesn't see the problem. It's mostly idle comments from time to time. It said something about the contract making it easier to learn Senjutsu. All eyes turn to Jiraiya, who maintains his stern look. I can't tell you anything about the methods of learning Senjutsu. If word got around on how to do it, you'd have a whole bunch of dead shinobi who weren't capable of handling that kind of power. Just learning it poses a significant risk. Jiraiya refuses to elaborate on the learning method. But the Nibi is correct. The contract transforms the user's body and chakra into something more capable of handling natural energy, but only if they already have the natural capability to do so. It took me 10 years to even start learning and I still can't do it perfectly. Minato was probably the only actual sage in the past 100 years. That alone should tell you just how dangerous it is, and just how much a contract with Senjutsu users changes your chakra. Regardless. Koharu starts, knowing that this particular argument is a lost point. Naruto hasn't actually done anything wrong, has he? Sasuke speaks up this time. Yes, he is at odds with Naruto more often than not regarding certain things, but maybe Jiraiya-sama is right, and the old coots just need to look at the whole thing more objectively. With the half-truths stripped away, Naruto has proven himself to be a pretty reliable person. Not just as a man and friend, but as a shinobi to Konoha. With the incident regarding Karen during the Chunin exams notwithstanding, but still reasonably within the bounds of Konoha's agreement with Uzushio, Naruto continues to strive as a jounin of Konoha. Every mission he is sent on is successful. Every subordinate sings praises about him to the friends and families they return safely to. Why even promote Naruto to jounin if he is considered to be a flight risk? Giving control over lower-ranked subordinates would be dangerous if they didn't trust him. If they could give the rank of Jinan to the trio of Ado Jinan that Jiraiya had recruited, then they could spare some trust for Naruto who'd been a Konoha citizen for all his life. Unless the truth of the matter ran deeper than trust. Sasuke thinks that some investigation of his own is warranted. Naruto is indeed a capable shinobi and leader, Tsunade acquiesces. But there is one problem. He has openly admitted to being raised by Uchiha Madara, who is most famously known for trying to destroy Konoha. He has also yet to display any tendencies that can be construed as wanting the destruction of Konoha. Jiraiya responds evenly. He gets along well with the majority of the shinobi and civilian populace. He may be selfish, but just look at every other person in this village. Everyone is out to gain something for themselves. That is the nature of people who are ambitious. What is the problem with Naruto gaining power and the acknowledgement of his fellow citizens? I recall that all three of us were the same once Sarutobi-sensei was able to motivate us. The problem is Jiraiya, that if he continues to do so under the circumstances of another ruse in order to rise through Konoha's ranks with no opposition, that he could destroy Konoha's established hierarchy from the inside out. Tsunade communicates Homura and Koharu's argument to him. And I know you don't believe that for a second. Sasuke thinks that Jiraiya is catching on to something that he and Kakashi aren't aware of. I can't believe this. Jiraiya shakes his head in disbelief. You old biddies are still dogmatically following Sarutobi and Danzo's ridiculous fears. He turns and allows himself out of the meeting room. Jiraiya. Tsunade tries to get him to come back. No. Sarutobi was wrong in his unjust fear and hatred of an unfortunate people. You two better hope that you're dead before I find out that you did something to make Naruto betray this village. A self-fulfilling prophecy is a one-way ticket to undo everything that you ever thought you did right in the name of Konoha. Homura and Koharu look forward stonily, not daring to glance at Jiraiya. The Hokage gives a deep and weary sigh. This is what I get for listening to the two of you. She gripes pettily. Definitely something to look into, Sasuke thinks. He supposes it must be hard to mediate rather than take an obvious side. If he were someone less level-headed, he might be angry that Tsunade isn't standing up for one of her jounin. But as she said, she's required to look at things objectively and see if there's some truth in what they're saying, no matter how absurd. For the sake of all of Konoha. I had hoped that Jiraiya would listen to reason. Homura pushes his glasses up the bridge of his nose. That brings us to the reason that you two are here, Koharu follows up. We want the pair of you to observe Naruto when possible in order to determine if he will be a risk to the future of Konohagakure. Assess his compliance with orders, his relationships with the general population as well as members of esteemed clans. Kakashi speaks up for the first time after listening attentively to one spiel after the other. Naruto is a jounin, as promoted and approved of by Hokage-sama and a number of other experienced jounin. The only orders he needs to listen to are direct orders from Tsunade-sama unless specified otherwise. And you should know well already that the only people Naruto regularly interacts with are Uzumaki Karen, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, my own family and Jiraiya. He is loosely associated with them for missions, but he doesn't get along with them like he does normal people and clanless shinobi. Good point. Sasuke thinks. How would Naruto be placed in a position of power in the village hierarchy if he doesn't gain the support of the clans as a neutral party? He has made it clear since the start that he hasn't been interested in village politics, instead opting for the pursuit of more personal power. And that in itself is also a problem. Koharu retorts. It is said that Uchiha Madara was capable of controlling a Baijuyu with his potent Sharingan. Naruto is the sole inheritor of that man's genes and more importantly, one of only two people in the world with the Mangekyou Sharingan. He could easily overpower Sasuke's own ability and take control of the Nibi within. One of the only people he interacts with happens to be the container of Konoha's only Baijuyu as a present. Because we're friends? Sasuke answers with a rhetorical but obvious question. We were on the same team. Yeah, we fight and argue but we're friends and you seem to have let that slip by your notice. Sasuke. Kakashi warns him quietly. Homura continues. As a Jinchuriki, you have been placed in a position of responsibility that no other Uchiha has ever been in before. For the sake of all of Konoha, especially that little family that you've been getting close with, you will be required to rein in your clanmate and ensure that he is as loyal to the village as you are. Sasuke narrows his eyes at the mention of Yuito and Himari. Do you understand, Sasuke-kun? Koharu evidently goes for the kindly old lady facade. What would Naruto do in this situation? I understand, Sasuke answers calmly. Honorable elders, I respectfully say go fuck yourselves. 3 pairs of jaws drop in the room. Tsunade hides her grin behind clasped hands. Sakura. Your friends are here to see you. Sakura straightens her red forehead protector in the mirror, making sure her bangs won't flop into her face, and checks the pockets of her Chunin flak jacket for mini stimulants that might help while performing medical ninjutsu in the field. Her pink hair reaches her thighs now, like Naruto's, although significantly tame by comparison to her wild teammate. She honestly doesn't know how he can see right through it. Even a single strand in front of her eyes is distracting enough. "That'll do," Sakura says to herself, and makes her way downstairs and to the front door. She's caught off guard by who's waiting for her. Sakura thought that it would be Naruto and Sasuke, her actual friends. Not her classmates. Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji. What in the hell? She hadn't spoken to any of them in months. Not since she demolished Ino in the exams. "Sakura." Ino bounds up to her immediately. "Let's hang out." Sakura blinks confusedly at the out-of-the-blue offer before giving a quick refusal. "No." "Eh? Look, I don't know what you're up to, but I'm busy today. We barely know each other anyway. I'd say no even if I had nothing to do." "Sakura. That's no way to talk to your friends." Mebuki scolds. Sakura pays it no mind. She's not the one being suspicious, after all. "Come on, Sakura," Choji disgustingly speaks with his mouth full of chips, and Sakura cringes at the thought of the messy spittle that might come out. "We haven't all been together since the academy. Wouldn't it be cool to get everyone together again? It's been a year since we were all in one place. We can go and get lunch or something." Shikamaru chips in too, but there is a sharpness to his lazy eyes that makes Sakura's suspicions grow. It makes her carefully consider how to draw out more information from them. "And you came to me first? Why don't you go ask Sasuke or Naruto?" She knows that Naruto would immediately refuse as well. Probably even laugh in their faces. Maybe try and make them cry. Both he and Sasuke would rather beat the crap out of each other than hang around a bunch of weaklings. Sasuke-kun has an important meeting with Hokage-sama. Ino reveals glibly, blushing at the mere mention of his name. "And Naruto? Sama is always busy." Sakura notes the hesitation in which Ino added the suffix that the general populace gave to Naruto when speaking to her about him. She also knows that normal people, especially lower-ranked Jonin, wouldn't know that Tsunade has a meeting with Sasuke today. She only knew that Tsunade was busy, which is why her current order is to report to the hospital and receive normal tutelage from some of the medics. So how could Ino know that Sasuke would be present with the Hokage? Sasuke sure as hell wouldn't tell anyone. What about the others? Kiba, Shino and Hinata? Kurenai-sensei is taking them out on missions a whole lot. Shikamaru deflects. Not an admission that they hadn't asked, but not confirmation that teammate has been asked and said no either. "I'm out on missions all the time too," Sakura starts to get impatient. "And I'm apprenticed under the Hokage. I don't have the time to hang out when Konoha needs me now more than ever, as a Chunin and a medical shinobi." "Come now, Sakura," Mebuki tries to soothe the impending rage outburst. "It wouldn't hurt for one day, would it?" Ino bobs her head eagerly. "Yeah. I'm not going to disrespect the time that Tsunade-sama has put aside to teach me," Sakura says flatly. "And frankly, I already have friends that I don't get to talk to often enough." "You've changed, Sakura." Ino's expression transforms into a scowl. "Ever since you got put on a team with that damn Naruto, you've become a complete bitch." "Ino." Mebuki sounds appalled and looks equally furious. Sakura loves and appreciates her mother. She probably let them in so that they could rope her into loosening up a bit. It made sense seeing as Mebuki had expressed concern that Sakura would eventually run herself dry if she kept up the relentless regimen of missions and training. But one thing that Kasan would not stand is disrespecting her daughter. "I think you three have outstayed your welcome." Mebuki's voice conveys her displeasure. "Come on, Ino, this is a bust." Shikamaru's droning voice asks her to leave with him. The three turn on their heels and slowly leave through the front door without so much as an apology. "Bye, Kasan." Sakura turns to her mother. "I'm sorry, honey, I really thought." Mebuki frowns at her misplaced effort to help her daughter. "Don't worry about it. I wouldn't be doing all this stuff if I didn't really want it. And besides, Naruto and Sasuke are the best friends I could ask for. They can even make time for me." Mebuki shakes her head fondly. "Those two boys have been a good influence on you. You should invite them over for dinner sometime. Kakashi-sensei too." "I'll try," is all Sakura can promise. She leaves through the front door and closes it behind her. Her eyes narrow at the Ino-Shikacho trio, who are still loitering around a few meters from her house. "Next time, I hope you three don't bother me at all with whatever scheme you tried today," she says to them spitefully. Ino becomes visibly aggressive, and naturally Shikamaru and Choji stand at her back steadfast. It's a laughably pathetic display. Sakura has no doubt that she could mince all three of them on her own. "You're missing out on a pretty important opportunity, Sakura," Shikamaru explains, and Sakura withholds a roll of her eyes. "Look, We're the heirs of some of the most important clans in Konoha. Why wouldn't you want to be friends with us? Our clans have connections that could help you get higher up in Konoha's support chain. I'm apprenticed under the fucking Hokage. Sakura shouts in frustration, making them reel back. I literally cannot get any better tutelage. What the hell is wrong with you, you morons? As if summoned by the spirit of coincidence, two of her favorite people pass through the street. Naruto and Karen. Yo, Sakura. Karen greets her joyfully. Healing wench. Naruto's greeting is significantly ruder. Karen, perverted hedgehog. Sakura barely withholds a smirk at the nicknames they'd given each other. Naruto's Sharingan immediately hones in on the trio of weaklings. As expected, they cower instantly and take off without a word. Naruto has quite the scary visage. What's the story there? Sakura gives him the rundown objectively, without adding her own suspicions. Naruto hums in thought. Inoshikacho? I'll keep an eye out going forward. By what you said, they were unusually overt about getting your attention. They're definitely out to get something. Maybe not of their own accord. She's glad that Naruto came to the same conclusion that she did. Anyway. Sakura drags the conversation away from the trio, ensuring that Naruto didn't chase them down and demand answers. How are you going with your medical ninjutsu? Not well. I can heal myself without using a jutsu, but my chakra is too corrosive to heal other people. Naruto's brow furrows over his red eyes. I need to find a way to make my chakra have more healing properties without weakening it. That's probably possible. Sakura concedes, walking with Naruto and Karen toward the hospital. Sakura has heard that it's possible to develop more than one chakra nature. With enough rigorous effort, one could transform their chakra over a long period of time to take on the qualities of another nature. Some people like Naruto and Sasuke are already gifted with more than one, but she predicts that it won't be exactly easy for Naruto to adapt his chakra to the delicate nature of healing another person. Whenever his chakra comes out of his body, it's usually to set fire to, blast away, cut, or force someone under a paralyzing genjutsu. I think that it is too. I've discovered at least that healing properties are not bound to elemental chakra natures. I thought that maybe mastering Suiten would give me some inclination, but it seems that it's some kind of physical and mental threshold that I can't get a grasp on yet. Naruto's frown deepened slightly. I'll keep trying anyway. Last 2 times that I tried to heal fishes, one exploded and the other kind of disintegrated. Wow. Sakura is amazed at his ineptitude. I will never let you try and heal me. That would be for the best. And he didn't even clean it up before he left to find another one. Karen points a finger accusingly at Naruto, who smirks in response. I thought someone freaking died in our living room. The pursuit of power is often messy. Naruto nods sagely. Sakura rolls her eyes this time. Anyway, I'm off to the hospital for my lesson. We're heading there too for Karen's eye test. Naruto decides that they should just walk together. Karen does not look so eager. Hospital? She saw through it right away. Shikamaru explains to his father. I expected as much, but the seed is planted. Sakura will relay it to Naruto and Sasuke, who are more likely to look into it. You plan for us to fail? Shikamaru is mystified. His father had seemed so serious about sassing Sakura into being their friend. I didn't tell you my plan so that you would seem more genuine. Shikaku admits readily, so what is your plan? Shikaku carefully considers how to answer. Shikamaru is still just a child, and normal children don't have the aptitude for keeping secrets. Uchiha Naruto is hardly a normal child. I was merely giving a subtle push toward Naruto and Sasuke to take some consideration in how the clans and political factions of Konoha look upon the Uchiha. You're giving out favors now? Shikamaru asks with lazy dubiousness. No, it's definitely for the purpose of making sure that Konoha isn't shaken from the inside out. Shikaku denies having the motivation to help people who are essentially strangers. The Uchiha weren't well liked by certain clans, and the higher-ups seem to have some kind of grudge against them. Generally, some vagrant behavior is overlooked in Konoha if the shinobi or clan member doing a crime is valuable enough to the network, but the Uchiha were very good at their jobs while in total control of the law enforcement. It didn't matter to them how high up a criminal was, only that they were a criminal. Civilians looked on them kinder than most, but even Shikaku had been fed up with constantly having to bail out some of his clanmates after the Uchiha police force had caught them doing something disruptive or generally idiotic. But the Sarutobi clan under Sundaime-sama's rule had always been prime pickings for the Uchiha. The third was always willing to look the other way, but the tension growing toward the Uchiha on the side of the Sarutobi had been palpable. Police sent in to clean up their messes would often find themselves victims of assault, and harming just one of the Uchiha brought the wrath of all of them upon whoever dared to attack their family. Sarutobi would often find themselves in a jail cell for a night before having their charges waived by the Sandaime. That, and being forced to move to an outskirts estate after the Kyubi attack, was highly suspicious on behalf of the elders. In the outer areas of the village, they could be more easily monitored without other shinobi catching on and spreading rumors that the Uchiha might be being spied on. Sarutobi Hiruzen's greatest supporters had always been the elders that he'd fought with. Their input had been valuable in wartime, but they are human and still suffer from prejudices that could segregate a whole clan of the most skilled shinobi in the village. Shikaku doesn't consider himself to be a particularly cynical person, but there were some lines to be drawn between incidents involving the Uchiha and the political structure of Konoha that were difficult to ignore. And it feels as though there are some missing pieces of the puzzle that is the Uchiha incident. These unusual happenings were part of the reason that he'd initially been hesitant to continue the tradition of having a Sarutobi clan member train the next generation of Ina Shikacho. Sarutobi Asuma was quite the menace when he'd been younger, but Shikaku had given him the benefit of the doubt and entrusted his child to a sensei who he'd come to find out wasn't, and still isn't much of a sensei. Yuhi Kurenai learned her lesson from the underperformance of her team. Asuma did not. And despite Tsunade being quite a hardliner when it comes to the correct management of training young shinobi, Asuma is still somehow in charge of an important generation of clan children. It's raising questions, and Shikaku wants answers. Answers that he wouldn't be able to obtain unless a few clans band together in an effort to find out what the hell is going on with the higher-ups. Just don't get in the way of the Uchihas. Shikaku sighs. If I'm right, they'll be hounding our clans for information in the next few months if they get a lead on something that might affect their agency in Konoha. Shikamaru's brow twitches. You're the one who told us to chase down Sakura. They'll be more motivated if someone they care about is a point of interest. Shikaku shrugs shamelessly. But regardless, it seems like I've been neglecting my own training of you in our clan's specialties. It's time to fix that mistake. His son droops and feigns sleep on the floor. I'm too tired. It isn't a request. Karen hates hospitals. The bad memories are at the forefront of her mind as she sat down next to Naruto in front of the eye specialist's room. The smell, the miserable patients and families, the occasional crying and Mama? Young Karen watched a white sheet be placed over her mother. Mama looked so cold. She tried to see Mama, she really did, but the creepy old man grabbed her by the arm and started dragging her down the hallway. Mama! She screams and cries. Silence, child. You have a duty to Kusagaku. You will serve it just as she did. Be proud that she died saving the lives of our shinobi. The grip on her arm is so tight that it hurts. Tears are in her eyes. Mama! Help me. She is pulled into a room full of shinobi. Her sleeve is pulled up and her arm is offered to a man with bandages around his head. The first bite on her skin is something unreal. The excruciating pain shoots through her whole body as her chakra is forcibly wrenched out of her control. If Mama! Karen jolts and shoots up to her feet, hyperventilating. She's sweating and picking at her arms. Naruto looks up in alarm from his seat. She starts pacing back and forth, torn between wanting to bolt and staying with Naruto like he asked. Nurse. Naruto addresses a woman delivering results to the box at the front of Dr. Iyashi's door. Naruto-sama? Please tell the Iyashi-san that we'll be on the roof getting some fresh air. Oh, the nurse takes in Karen's state and nods without staring. Of course. We'll send someone to fetch you when it's time to get the results. Thank you. Naruto puts his hand lightly on Karen's back and gently nudges her. Karen immediately dissolves into a babbling mess and lunges into Naruto's arms. I need to go, we're going. Naruto soothes, but looks exceedingly uncomfortable. He gives her light nudges toward the fire escape. Is she having a panic attack? Naruto hops up the stairs several at a time when Karen starts bounding for the last door. Karen bursts out the door, breathing the fresh air as if every breath is going to be her last. She drops to her hands and knees and starts dry retching. Naruto has no idea what to do. Iyashi comes to the roof personally, about an hour after Karen's escape. He's witness to an unusually nervous Naruto hovering over a seated Karen, examining her and trying to get her to talk to him. I'm fine, Naruto. Really? That did not look fine to me. Iyashi thinks that Naruto is too blunt for his own good, and Karen's expression twists in something like frustration and annoyance before she deflates. It's unusual that Naruto is this overt about his concern, but he probably has a different outlook on people that he cares about. But of course, Naruto has never met a problem that couldn't be solved by violence, so he's probably new to helping or at least trying to help people who don't have the same mental fortitude that he does. He gives a polite cough to grab their attention. Uchiha-sama, Uzumaki-san. Naruto and Karen look up and they're somewhat surprised to see him up here, he supposes. But he felt that Karen may be more receptive to the news if she's not stuck inside the hospital. He sits down on one of the chairs that the long-term patients use for relaxation and begins the recount of his findings. It is as you expected, Uchiha-sama, it's just Naruto. Karen's eyesight has indeed been impaired without a degenerative condition. He holds up a picture of the scans. You can see here that her pupil is hidden under some balloon-like growths coming from her irides. To be quite frank, it's a miracle that she can see at all. She's going to need a new prescription, but my main concern lies in what could have caused this in the first place. Uzumaki-san, do you have any recollection of eye injuries in the past? Karen shifts uncomfortably but provides a small story to go with it. Unnecessary for him to know, but if it helps her remember what happened, then it could lead it to potential solutions. My family lived in a little settlement in the land of grass, but when Kusagakure was recruiting Shinobi, they found out that me and my Kachan were Uzumaki and tried to take us to their village. My Oda-san. He didn't like that very much. He kept shouting at them that they have no right to take people against their will, and they got fed up with him, and Karen's lips curl in and she looks about ready to burst into tears. She manages to hold on for a bit longer. He was just a civilian. I was really young, but I remember they had a rogue shinobi who could spit poison smoke and trap people in giant bubbles. My Ota-san tried to shield me, but that guy just breathed on him and killed him with pink smoke. I was really hurt too, but Mama made me bite her. That's how Kuza found out that people can heal by biting us. Iyashi keeps his composure during her story. He's heard many tragic tales before, but the depravity of other nations truly disgusts him. He finds himself privileged to be born in Konoha. Naruto's eyes change to a strange pattern, and the veins on the back of his hand bulge as he clenches them furiously. I see. You may be able to receive help from a skilled enough medical shinobi to repair that damage, but conventional eye surgery won't be enough to heal damage caused by a shinobi's poison. But that's enough for today. I'll prepare the fees for today's consultation and prescription and send them to your home. Iyashi concludes, knowing that Naruto will handle it from here. Thank you, Iyashi-sensei. Naruto puts a hand on Karen's shoulder, and they both vanish in a poof of smoke. Poor girl. Iyashi looks up at the sky before getting back to work. I'm sorry. Naruto says sincerely to Karen, putting the emotionally exhausted girl down in her bed. I got that after the first 3 times, Naru. Karen smiles weakly. Naruto breathes a frustrated sigh, most definitely aimed at himself. I really thought that I was helping. You are helping. I didn't think I'd have a freaking panic attack in the middle of a packed hospital. Naruto now understands that maybe he's being a bit too pushy in getting what he wants. Sure, he wants Karen to be in good health, but sometimes things just take time to move on from, and he doesn't want her to feel like she doesn't have any choice in the matter. Patience is something he'd never really contended with. He'd hid his power for so long and for a distinct and explosive purpose, so he'd been able to put up with it and keep himself busy in the meantime. It wasn't something that Madara taught him, and the old man had been all too willing to put him through an extremely accelerated training regime due to the predicted time he had left on this earth. Naruto is used to getting his way by being purposely obtuse with people or through raw power. This is a conflict of the mind and the soul. Something he has never had to encounter before in a healing, living person. He is caught off guard when Karen grabs his nose. Anyone home? Karen asks cheekily with tired eyes. Just thinking about how little I understand people. Naruto honks helplessly with his nose closed. Karen pulls him by his nose into her bed and suddenly they're facing each other on their sides. Right now Naru, Karen whispers. I don't need new glasses, or fancy jutsu, or these scars to go away. Then what do you need? Naruto asks, wanting to know how to help her. All I need in my life right now is you. She smiles, and in his not so humble opinion it is beautiful. You saved me from that torture. You're my hero, and that's already more than I could have imagined. Just Naruto, not Uchiha or Uzumaki. You're already what I need. There is a moment of silence while Naruto digests the only time that someone has actually said they wanted him for more than his power. You kind of do need new glasses. Naruto says awkwardly, which makes her smile. Maybe. She takes hers off to keep her head on the pillow more comfortably. Naruto thinks that maybe remembering the good parts of her life will be therapeutic. What was your Kachan like? Karen spends the next few hours telling him about her mother and what a wonderful person she was. She talks about how she remembers how much she loved her father, what she could remember of him. Naruto is pleased when she falls asleep after he patiently listens through everything she has to say, and with a relaxed and unguarded posture. He tucks her properly and returns to his studies hesitantly. "My father was a sage?" Naruto asks confusedly. "You didn't know?" Jiraiya said that the Ondaime was the only sage since the Shodai Hokage. Sasuke comes knocking just before the sun sets and gives him the rundown of his talk with the higher-ups of Konoha. Strangely, Naruto doesn't seem surprised to know that he's being targeted and that the elders are attempting to use any resource they can in order to keep him under their control. He's more interested in the not-so-little detail about Namikaze Minato being a Senjutsu adept. I wonder why? Naruto's thought trails, internally questioning how Minato could have been given hassle by Obito if he's a master of Senjutsu. Well, I suppose if he wasn't actually that good at it, then it wouldn't exactly be publicized to the common folk. Maybe there's some kind of condition that needs to be fulfilled in order to use Sage Chakra, and that Minato couldn't fulfill it while busy with the Kyuubi and space-time wielding baby Madara. Obito had ultimately been defeated at his father's hands, and the Kyuubi nearly sealed away. Taking out Obito could be considered an impossible task without an army, and Minato had done so alone. The Nibi said that taking on a summoning contract could make learning Senjutsu easier, but Jiraiya said that you refused on the grounds that a contract can warp your chakra. I did. I'm not comfortable doing anything that might change my chakra when I myself don't know its full potential. I suppose I'll just need to do some more research into myself and see if it's possible for me to use Senjutsu without being taught by summoned creatures. Naruto replies, unconcerned about Nibi talking to him. But this asking me to spy on you? Aren't you worried that you're at risk right now? Who knows who else they're asking? Sasuke seems genuinely concerned about the current situation. Sakura was approached earlier today. The Kurentino Shikacho trio, but I suspect that if their parents actually wanted Sakura to spy on me then they would have been more subtle about it. I think that they're probably not happy about being approached and having their kids do dirty work. That is to say, if they were approached by the same people you spoke with today. Naruto turns to the small hall in his apartment and gives Karen a shout. "Karen! I'm going out for a bit, I'll bring dinner back. Get me the usual." Sasuke sees Karen doing pull-ups on a rack attached to the door. He sees sweat roll down her face and her exposed stomach with the training outfit she's wearing. Sasuke swallows at the sight. He feels a cold shiver down his spine as Naruto's always-on Sharingan turned to him. "I'll forgive you this once for your stray eyes." Naruto's voice is deceptively cordial. "But she is mine." Sasuke nods without hesitation. Best not to anger the most possessive person in Konoha. Good. Let's go to a little hidey hole for us Uchiha to speak safely. Sasuke is surprised when Naruto leads them to Naka Shrine in the abandoned Uchiha district and opens the seal under the correct tatami mat with practiced ease. Naruto seals the entrance behind them and ignites the braziers in front of the stone tablet. "I debated with myself whether or not I should apologize to you, but I'm not sorry that I hid the fact that I was an Uchiha. Keeping that secret until the right moment served its purpose of putting me on a podium in front of the world, and now Konoha will be safer if everyone knows that the spawn of Madara is in the light." Naruto is very pragmatic about that particular issue. Yes, Sasuke had been conflicted, but his friend and clanmate has an indomitable will and wouldn't cave to the thought of it being nice to be with his fellow Uchiha. "But I will say that going forward, I want to help you become more than what the Uchiha were in the past. I did show you the circumstances of how I came to be, but there are aspects of your biology that you won't be able to run away from. Something that will hang over your head until you either find true light in yourself, or remove the darkness that is the Sharingan." "What do you mean?" "My biology?" Sasuke asks, puzzled. "The curse of hatred," Naruto states, Sharingan whirling into a different pattern. "It is equal parts spiritual and biological. The curse is a manifestation that makes the Sharingan stronger at a steep cost. The Sharingan releases unique enzymes through the body when its user is willingly or otherwise exposed to circumstances that cause negative emotions. The Mangekyou Sharingan, as your brother likely told you already, is the ultimate form of the curse that can only be brought about by the most searing of emotions. Betrayal, loss, death. The more your hatred grows, the more potent this dojutsu becomes, and the more you lose yourself to the curse. Then we're cursed to that fate if we chase more power through the Sharingan?" Sasuke does not like the thought of unwillingly turning out like Itachi. "That is the case for you. My Mangekyou Sharingan awoke because my body and chakra became strong enough to wield it. The potency of my Sharingan is directly related to the strength of my chakra. I don't need to fear losing myself to anything other than my own stupidity. How can I learn to do this?" "You can," Naruto states bluntly. The Mangekyou Sharingan steadily makes its wielder blind, But by taking the Mangekyo eyes of a close relative, you can permanently mitigate that damage. Madara had several younger brothers before the founding of Konoha. Only one of them lived long enough to feel grief at having his people slaughtered by the Senju. The 9th Hokage was the one that killed him, and Madara ended up transplanting those eyes into himself, becoming the first person to wield the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. And because of that you don't have to deal with the consequences of that power? Sasuke believes he's correct in assuming that the path to power is bloody for an Uchiha. That's possibly the reason, but there could be more to it than that. Which is why we're here. Naruto motions to the stone tablet at the end of the room. Naruto looks at it with the Sharingan and quotes one of the lines. Seeking stability, one god was divided into yin and yang, these opposing two acting together obtain all things in creation. The god in question is the god of the Ninchu religion, the Rikudo Sennin. He divided his power between his two sons, the elder son inherited his eyes and chakra, while the younger son inherited his body. The sage wanted his religion to be continued in the name of peace, and chose his younger son to be the leader that guided the world to it. The older son, fraught with rage at his birthright being taken from him, plunged the sons into eternal war. The older brother became the first wielder of the Sharingan and the Uchiha clan are his descendants. And the younger brother became the first Senju? The curse of hatred dates that far back? Indeed. To the very first of us. But that raises the question, is the Sharingan incomplete without the body of the sage? The answer is yes. Madara divined this truth from the tablet, stealing a piece of Hashirama's power and implanting it within his own flesh. It took decades, but in the end Madara obtained the eyes, chakra and body, and he awoke the Dujutsu of the Rikudo Sennin. The Rinnegan. Sasuke has never so much as heard the legend of the Rinnegan. He only knows pieces of myth, that the Rikudo Sennin defeated a rampaging and powerful beast, and divided that power to the world in order to defeat it. But now, knowing that he'd done so using a unique dojutsu that the Sharingan had been derived from. It doesn't make sense. Sasuke shakes his head. Why would the Rikudo Sennin divide his power between his sons? Because of Ninshu. He evidently believed that cooperation is the key to peace, and probably thought something stupid like forcing his two broken halves of a whole two children to work together would end up facilitating that goal. Or at least, that's my belief. That makes an unfortunate amount of sense, and I am inclined to believe that Naruto Dono was correct. Sasuke files that away for later. Then why don't you have the Rinnegan? The sage had one thing that no other person in history has ever acquired. The Ju-Ubi. From which the 9 Baiju are split from. You hold a piece of that inside of you. It's likely that the Baiju together have overwhelmingly powerful chakra, unmatched by anything in this world. Judging by the progression of my Sharingan, my chakra will need to grow far more powerful in order to awaken it. Either that, or grow to be more universal. The Rinnegan grants its wielder the ability to use any jutsu, regardless of chakra nature of difficulty, as well as many other powers exclusive to that dojutsu. Please let me speak with him. Nibi asks politely. How? Sasuke asks back to his mind, never having tried to speak back to the Nibi before. Trust in me, your body. Do not be afraid, Sasuke-kun. Even if I wanted to harm you, Naruto Dono would soon put me back in the confines of this seal. Will I still be able to listen? As I do. Nibi confirms. Sasuke's clear eye bleed into the heterochromia of the Nibi, and Naruto is alarmed. Please do not fret. Nibi pleads, holding Sasuke's arms up non-threateningly. Sasuke-kun is still here, listening. I wanted to speak with you about the stone tablet. Speak. Naruto demands, none too pleased about the eavesdropper by Ju. I was never aware of this stone tablet. Nibi Sasuke admits. But I believe it was left behind by Hagoromo to Indra's descendants, in the hopes that they would self-correct and return to peace with Asura's descendants. At Naruto's blank look, she explains further. Otsutsuki Hagoromo, the Rikudo Sennin's true name. Indra being his eldest son, and Asura being the youngest. Hagoromo raised me and taught me his religion. He was obsessive about cooperation, and it would not surprise me if he deliberately split his power in order to force his sons to see the best in each other in order to gain more power and influence over their own reality. But that is hindsight, and he was very devout about his desire for peace. He did not understand the nature of a human, for he and all his power could not truly be called human. You are correct, Naruto Dono. His belief clouded his judgment, and therein lies the origin of your people's curse. The Rinnegan should never have been separated, only diluted. Naruto's Mangekyo eyes stay locked on the Nibi, still waiting for the reveal of deception but not willing to let an opportunity pass him by. Am I correct about my own development too? Quite so, you will need to reach deeper within yourself to awaken the Rinnegan. Powerful chakra alone will not be the catalyst for a dojutsu that can create and destroy in equal amounts. You are an Uchiha, defined by your destructive power. You must first learn to create. Your grandfather already had the answer. The Makuten that he stole from Hashirama. Naruto realizes. There may be a sliver of that within me. Perhaps that would be your best starting point. Nibi Sasuke sways on the spot. I do not wish to see more people helplessly consumed by the curse of your people. I want to see this problem that my father created to be corrected. Nibi Sasuke looks down at hers body. Sasuke-kun cannot handle the influence of my mind in his body for long, so I will be returning to the seal. I am pleased to meet you, and to see that you are ambitious enough to look into yours and your clan's future. Good luck. Sasuke jolts, and it's made obvious by his body language that he's back in control. What now? The dizzy Uchiha asks. Madara ensured that I would have the tools to chase my dreams. Naruto waved a hand out extravagantly. He built this village so that all Uchiha would have that. He instilled fear into all living at that time, making it known that the Uchiha clan is made from resilient and protective people. His guile allowed him to cheat death and return even stronger from it, permanently fixing in himself a disease that has plagued the Uchiha clan since the very first of us. It would be remiss of me not to take advantage of everything he lived and died for. I have my own goals, Sasuke, and now you must find your own way to bring yourself into the light. Naruto looks back at the stone tablet. Amaterasu. The tablet ignites in black flames and slowly disintegrates. I won't let this stone poison our descendants with whispered promises of power. The Uchiha make our own fate. Between the years of Konoha's foundation and Naruto's birth, Madara feels his age when his Sharingan sees graying strands over his right eye. After a failed attempt to convince the Uchiha to abandon Konoha, he explodes in fury. Open your eyes. Madara thunders to the Uchiha, and he sees them flinch at his chakra cracking the floor of the shrine. His Sharingan whirls into its Mingekyu pattern in response to his hatred. I have witnessed the absolute tyranny that the Senju will impose on you, if you refuse to learn. I see now that I have shouldered your burdens for too long, and you have stagnated without conflict to strengthen you. Do you think that it's a coincidence that all of a sudden it is no longer the Hokage who picks the heir of his position? Just when a few gifted newcomers begin to show signs that they are capable of leading? You pathetic, miserable children. Madara paces at the forefront of the shrine. Adult Uchiha are seated before him, sweating in the presence of his wrath. None offer so much as a rebuke. Weak. In spirit, and in body. There is not a single Senju like Hashirama. There are no other Senju willing to see past their history with us. They would take us by the hand so that their other would sneak into our pockets. Madara's voice drops in volume. I see now that this is not the village of the Uchiha and Senju, and I foresee that this clan will wither away like embers in the cold. Still, not a single protest. Not one person is willing to entertain the thought that they are truly at risk. They grow fat in complacency. One Uchiha female steps down into the shrine. Madara-sama. Hashirama-sama is here as you requested. He nods stoically to Naori, not letting a woman experience the brutality of his simmering rage. All of you leave. I will be giving you one last warning. One that may even cost me my life. And then you will see. That without the tools of fear and power, you will whittle away until it's too late. Now go. And suffer. They scamper away like mice from a cat. Hashirama enters the shrine, clad in robes befitting a Hokage. He looks around with something akin to wonder. Madara? What's this about? Madara turns to the stone tablet. Have you ever heard the history of the Rikudo Sennin? Madara is starting to get used to seeing through one eye. It had been a few months now since he'd used Izanagi to revive himself, and just as long since he'd taken a piece of Hashirama's flesh and implanted it on his heart, through the gaping wound on his chest. It took weeks before he could eat without vomiting up some of it. Maybe that was a side effect of actually being dead. His little hideout had been stocked with salted meats, just in case he couldn't find the strength to hunt. Madara puts on a cloak, hiding his sickly pale skin that seemed to take a slight green tinge in certain light. It would come and go like a bad rash, but he learned not to be too vain about it as soon as he realized just how much sustenance that tiny piece of flesh really offered him. He could go significantly longer without water or food. He also cuts his hair down for the first time, leaving only short spikes of salt and pepper hair. A mask with a single hole over his functioning eye is to keep his face hidden. He hides his chakra with the years of practice he'd gotten in while scheming to fake his death, and moves out into the world to see how every other nation is coping with the new Shinobi system, a new era of the hidden village. It turns out, They are not coping at all. Madara's death and Hashirama's condition has evidently made waves across the world, and now everyone seems to think that Konoha will be easy pickings. There is a war on the horizon. Now, instead of a few children dying in conflict against an enemy, it's an entire village's children being led to slaughter. The village system hadn't been a cure, it had been an escalation. The land of rain has become a crucible. Previously ungifted and humble tradesmen and farmers have established their own home and become extremely hardy and resilient. Madara admires that they do not hide their hatred of the world that causes them to suffer behind useless platitudes of peace. Step in their borders and you are free game to them. He travels around under many disguises, but the last place he visits is a coastal city where he meets a woman unlike any other. There's about 10 of these Uzumaki, all armed and ready to prevent any intrusion into their home. Ohio. Madara cheers in a high-pitched voice, also in his stupid guise inspired by Hashirama, he likes to think. State your business. The woman orders, short red hair flickering in the wind. She looks quite beautiful with the sun at her back, making her hair appear lighter. I got lost. Madara lies shamelessly. He's barely got chakra at all. A censor among them. How intriguing. I do too have lots of chat aura. This is wartime, stranger. The woman does not indulge his childish persona. Trespassers bring trouble. I won't let you or this idiot persona of yours bring trouble to my clan. Leave or die. How about you die? Madara picks up some dirt and throws it in her face. She looks apoplectic while she menacingly draws her sword. My name is Uzumaki Haruka. And you have chosen death. Madara deftly cartwheels back to avoid a flurry of swipes from her blade. Immediately, Uzumaki men surround him with swords poised to strike. Whoa whoa whoa. This isn't fair at all. Madara's head flails around, looking at every possible person to see who would attack first. He ducks to avoid a swipe from behind, with sensory prowess that isn't possible for someone of his projected strength. Kidding. Madara punts him, sending him flying a dozen yards. Their little dance continues. Madara doesn't kill any of them, but he doesn't let himself take a hit. It's all too fun just to humiliate them for trying. It's time for the secret art of the counter-attack. Madara leaps and hangs upside down on a tree branch. The battered Uzumaki stiffen in fear. Ninpa, Aramakatokage ninja art, frilled neck lizard. His cloak falls behind his back while he gives an awkward pose. Madara's fun is ended when an aged voice interrupts before the Uzumaki can try and kill him again. Enough. Of all the people to notice his presence, Uzumaki Ashino orders his kin to stand down. None of you can defeat this man. I cannot defeat this man. He hobbles forward with a cane in hand, beckoning Madara to come down from the tree. Madara does so, wondering if he needs to kill the man to preserve his hidden identity. You are a long way from home, and it seems you've picked up an interesting talent. But you cannot fool my senses. So it would seem. Madara's voice returns to normal, startling the surrounding shinobi at its baritone. Ashino continues without pause. I imagine your travels have not led you to a warm bed. They have not thus far. But I have greater things on my mind than hearth and home. Madara removes his hood, leaving the top of his graying hair exposed. Come and dine with me. I have lost enough sons to this war, I do not wish to lose any more. Least of all to someone who should be dead. You come as well, my daughter. Yes, Ata-sama. Haruka dips her head. Madara doesn't have any children, but he supposes he gets it. He lost 5 brothers after all. And the rest of the traders will be dead sooner or later, the Senju will see to that. They walk into their village, built from stone with swirling patterns with the smell and taste of seawater permeating the air. Madara gets curious looks, but no more than a passing gaze while under his mask. Ashina leads them to his very own home where they are greeted by his wife, who Madara sees where Mito and Haruka get their looks from. She is worn from the loss of her children, and it is something that visibly weighs on her. Please, take a seat. My wife will prepare tea. As you wish. Madara remembers his manners for once, and takes off his mask. His Sharingan and pale eye seem to fascinate the Uzumaki girl Haruka. Is it? We will not say a word about your being here, Madara. Ashina says, unprompted. But you appear like an omen. You threw the world into chaos when you fought Hashirama once more. I have not come to cause trouble. Madara replies, despite his antics. You could say that I am on a pilgrimage, to find meaning in this world that has forsaken my clan. I'm looking for a reason not to turn it on its head once more. This is surprising coming from you. I never took you as a man to stay at his feet and look around. I was younger then. Madara reminisces. Driven singularly by fear and hatred. Fear that my family would be extinguished. Hatred at the Senju for facilitating that fear. I tied my existence heavily to that of the Uchiha clan. Never once did I think of what I could be without them. I guess I'm looking for my own meaning. Trying to find out why I struggled to achieve peace. Ashina takes a sip of his tea. I cannot say that I understand your desire to separate from your clan. Perhaps that is a fundamental difference between the Uzumaki and Uchiha. The Uzumaki and Senju, even. Tied to our blood, not our hearts. You are closer than you realize. Madara does not reveal the truth he divined from the stone tablet, but he does acknowledge that the elderly clan head is exceptionally wise for someone lacking actual evidence in the form of a message from the Rikudo. I admit to you, Madara, your appearance here has given me something to consider. A proposal to you. Ashina seems to appreciate his time and would rather get to business. You must have an interesting proposal. What will it offer me? Madara's plan has already been set in motion. He wants for little as it is. Train the young of my clan, and you will be given a home for as long as you need it. We have been far removed from the rest of the world and I'd have liked to have kept it that way, but this era of the hidden village has spurned into motion a great many evil deeds that will consume us as well. My clan have not been warriors for a very long time, and that is something that must change or else we will cease to exist entirely. Madara toils over the offer for weeks before eventually accepting on several conditions. Chiefly among them is absolute control over the students he trains, in addition to secrecy regarding his identity. There is to be no mention of his existence at all to Konoha or the rest of the world by letter correspondence. If anyone asks, the Uzumaki were becoming strong through trial, not teaching. The students and the rest of Uzushio know him only as Izuna. Training young people helps keep his body moving. He could be wasting away in a cave right now, waiting for his eyes to undergo a transformation that may or may not actually happen. Again. He orders an Uzumaki boy, demanding nothing but perfection from this new generation. Sweat cakes down the red hair at the boy's face. Other Uzumaki boys are similarly battered, but each one has a will of iron. There was no giving up for them. From Madara's lectures, they understand that everything they know is at risk. Their clan is facing extinction if they do not find their strength. They already have resolve, perhaps that's a blood trait of this clan. The boy is weighed down by sand after Madara had ordered them to swim, then roll around on the beach. He is clearly exhausted but still he persists. The boy unleashes a roar and stomps his feet into the sand. Water molecules begin to whirl around from this sealess jutsu. An upright typhoon forms around him rapidly with more water drawn from the sea. Madara vanishes before their eyes and delivers a hard punch to the boy's stomach. It sends him flying, but still he persists and finishes the jutsu. Suten, Daibakufu no Jutsu Great Waterfall Technique. Spurned into violent motion by strong Uzumaki chakra, a veritable tidal wave erupts and swamps the beach. Madara smiles and knows that there are no better students to him than talented people who refuse to give up. 3 years pass. Against his will, Madara finds himself growing fond of these fiery people. And in turn, many of them grow fond of him too. Ashina's daughter Haruka is one person who seems to use all of her spare time to use him and further her own strength. She corners him again while he's stargazing and lays next to him, undoubtedly plotting to ruin his night with another 30 demands to teach her personally. He has his hands full with the boys as it is, and it's not like a woman could compete with them. Why do you want strength? Madara asks after having not done so for the time they'd known each other. To be of service to my clan. Haruka answers, almost in a questioning tone as if to say, isn't it obvious? Most women your age are rearing children and yet, you have no husband nor suitors. Why is a female so resolute about being a warrior? Aye. Haruka looks down shamefully. I have nothing else to offer. I do not understand, Madara goes on tactlessly. A woman of your ability, beauty and status would be considered a rare and sought-after spouse anywhere else in the world, why not here? I cannot bear children. That snaps Madara's jaw shut. Or rather, if I have a child then, I will most likely die. Haruka remains seated next to him, looking down at her hands. Before these villages started forming, we were attacked by mercenary clans who were paid to clear us out so that the daimyo who hired them may harvest from our bountiful lands and sea. Father returned the favor, naturally. But it was not without cost to us. I was but a baby when our home was gassed with poison from clans that come from Iwagakure. But you survived. Madara states the obvious, given her being here. Haruka nods slowly at the corner of his eye. You already know that we have strong chakra. But there is only so much that we can heal with something unrefined as generic healing. When I was old enough to understand, mother and father told me that my chakra was holding my body together, and should the day come that I have to give it to someone else, I would likely perish to keep them alive. I see. Madara nods thoughtfully. It makes sense now, the dedication to feel that she is needed by her people. Her chakra strength is weaker than other females in the clan, but her explanation makes it clear that most of her chakra is being converted into pure life force. In a dream world, this fiery but earnest woman could have her husband and child. But this is not a dream world. Not yet. His mind also whirls with questions. Is it possible to sustain the life force of another by using one's own? What part did the preservation and facilitation of life hold in the growth of a shinobi, whose trade is death? You do not have children? Haruka asks, dragging him from his thoughts. I never thought about it. Madara replies honestly. Never once did I even entertain the thought. Most women, even in my own clan, were terrified of me anyway. You're not that scary. Madara doesn't reply, and thinks only of how with her persistence, he has fallen under her spell. Madara and Haruka often find excuses to be in the same place at the same time. It is treated with exasperation by the local populace. Two emotionally stunted people not understanding why exactly they enjoy each other's company. He doesn't understand it until Ashin is passing. The man's last words to him are a revelation. Take care of her, Madara. Once red hairs, now a stark white. Ashina's croak is weak. You're the best decision I've made, a long wheezy breath. For this village. Madara knows that the man is happy to pass peacefully in his sleep. If only Ashina's sons had been afforded that luxury. I will. Madara promises. Haruka's tear-filled eyes find their way to his chest, and he wraps his arms around her. As someone who loves wood. Hashirama's death from mysterious illness marks the beginning of the First Shinobi World War. It is a short war of only a year, but it costs the life of the freshly appointed Nidime Hokage. Madara laughs at the news, wishing he'd gutted the fool himself. She is shaking fearfully. Not at him, but I am with child. Haruka is in his arms again. She is afraid of death. Afraid that she will not be the mother she'd dreamed of being. I will find a way. I always do. Uchiha Madara's will is absolute, after all. Haruka is screaming and crying in agony, and her body refuses the command to stay alive. Madara is getting desperate. He places his hands over her heart. In an instant, his salt and pepper hair becomes bone white and he appears to age many years. He pushes as much of his life force into her as he can. Studying the changes to his body with the inclusion of Hashirama's power has led him to believe that it's possible to exchange life force. If it can be taken, then it can be given. And give, he does. Uzumaki Kushina comes into the world kicking and screaming, to proud and very much alive parents, Uzumaki Izuna and Uzumaki Haruka. Her hair is black as midnight, but Madara is quick to seal away any remnant of Uchiha power in her. No one says a word about his now eerie, ringed purple gaze. Kushina, or his little light, turns 3 quicker than Madara believed was possible. She slams her chubby hands on the table. Baka Hashirama. Haruka rolls her eyes as Madara grins. His wife sways whilst cooking dinner, and Madara catches her before she can stumble. He moves to place his hand over her heart to impart his life force unto her. Don't. Haruka catches it, looking him in the eyes. You can only give me so much time. She's going to need you, Madara. I don't know how I can do that. Madara sighs, knowing that overt displays of protectiveness from him would immediately paint a target on his daughter's back. From the shadows, love. As you have for a great many years now. Mito spends her last days as peacefully as she can, toiling over the fact that she is submitting another person to become an engine of war. The practice of Jinchuriki defies what Hashirama stood for, but survival of the village trumps idealism. The Second World Shinobi War is on the horizon. Punches can no longer be pulled. Tsunade is an unusually curious girl, always looking for answers. The story Mito is telling her in this moment is what inspired Tsunade to become a medical ninjutsu expert of unparalleled ability. If not for the fact that Senju were bred for war, Mito believed that Tsunade could have been another great mind of the ages. Hashirama refused to allow anyone to come with him to fight Madara. It is easy to romanticize the idea that comrades standing together will overcome any foe, but Madara. Mito gives a weak and weary sigh through cracked, aging lips. Even Tobirama refused to go anywhere near that battle until it was over. Probably to pick apart Madara's body like a carrion bird. Mito seemed disgusted by the concept and Tobirama's strange propensity for artificially making stronger shinobi, or discovering weakness in those who killed his kin. But still, I went to the battle. The landscape was completely unrecognizable. Shattered pieces of Hashirama's strongest jutsu littered the battlefield. The Kyuubi was in a deep trance, as if it were asleep. I had no idea such a vile beast could look peaceful. What happened then? A younger Tsunade asks curiously. Hashirama and Madara were still fighting. After 4 days, without sleep and without food or water, nothing but the sheer power of their chakra kept them walking. Hashirama was using Senjutsu and yet still Madara matched him blow for blow. They were so absorbed in their fight, I doubt they even noticed I was there. I took my chance and sealed the Kyuubi within myself in case Madara figured out how to break Hashirama's hold over it. Mito put a hand over where the seal lodged. You were just a baby, our granddaughter who'd been born just 1 week before. I couldn't find it in me to give you this burden. Mito smiles at her so slightly. I was quite young when I was wed to Hashirama, and your parents were quite young when you were born. Your grandfather saw this as something so immensely beautiful that he was willing to cut down his closest friend, so that others besides the Senju would experience the joy of creating life without fear, to revel at the gift of parenthood instead of detaching in case our children die. But if Ji-sama won, why did he die? Because he didn't win. He tied with Madara. I stumbled back to the fight with my body heavy with chakra that didn't belong to me. Hashirama killed Madara through trickery, but you can't outfox the fox. Madara used all his strength while dying in the cold river to pull his chain blade into Hashirama's back. Tsunade wisely stays silent at her grandmother's tears and shaky voice. There weren't any jutsu that could heal him, back then at least. Only delay the inevitable. That side that nearly took his arm off and had gone right through his lungs. Tobirama tried his best, but in the end Hashirama had naught but a few years left. He let Konoha democratically select Tobirama as their new leader, and spend his last years with his family and mentoring the new generation. I wish he'd lived long enough to meet Nawaki. He has a similar soul to his grandfather. Mito sniffles, but Tsunade admires how dignified her grandmother still looks. I was too old to seal the Kyuubi within myself. Tobirama figured it out. The best way to seal this beast is within an Uzumaki, but one whose chakra system hasn't fully grown and developed yet. Any other Baiju and I would have been fine, but this one is an entity in its own class. And now, it eats away at me from the inside, always clawing and scratching to get out. Uzumaki Kushina will be here soon. I've heard she's something of a little monster herself. Maybe this creature will find its home in her. Tsunade chooses not to broach that topic. Naori-san never mentioned that about Madara. She says instead. Of course not. Mito's lips twist in a grimace. Uchiha are all the same. It seems there is still quite a bit of bitterness toward them about the death of her husband. Before becoming the vessel of the Kyuubi, you must be filled with love. Yeah. So when do I get the Kyuubi? The wicked, power-hungry smile on Kushina's face does not ease Mito's heart. I had hoped that Hozoshio would send someone more understanding of this burden. Should have thought about that before demanding something like a replacement human being from your former clan, Senju. The elderly Mito is struck by the vitriol of her niece. Haruka sends a letter to her beloved daughter that her father had passed when in truth, he was by her bedside as she left the mortal plane. A grand funeral is held for both he and his wife, Uzumaki Izuna and Uzumaki Haruka, to find their peace in the next life. The death of his wife and use of his daughter by Konoha have reawakened a darkness in him that he had thought buried. Madara takes periodic trips throughout the world, testing his Rinnegan in secrecy. The Gedomazo is proven as a real entity when he summons it from the moon. The strange white organic goblins spawned from the statue are sent to recover any spare Sharingan from the battlefields. While returning from one such trip, he discovers that Hozoshio Gakure has been massacred by 3 of the great nations. There are few survivors. Most Uzumaki wore joie that would destroy their bodies before letting them be used by enemies. The Uzumaki were still a small clan and despite their near-overwhelming strength, they could still fall to numbers. The bodies of men that he taught since they were boys are scorched and unrecognizable skeletons filling the streets of his proud and cultured home. The few survivors flee to every corner of the world, using the tricks he taught them to stay hidden in the shadows. Madara, even with his lack of mobility and his age, calls upon the power of his legendary eyes to slaughter every last scavenger like the vile pigs they are. Izuna-sama. An Uzumaki woman sobs in relief at his presence, a red-haired babe in her arms as her outsider husband supports them both. This cursed and evil world has decimated these beautiful people. I have a favor to ask of you, dear Fuso. Anything. I am too old for these eyes to be of any use to me now. I want your son to bear them for the sake of our clan. Until I walk the earth again to reclaim them. Madara's cunning smile is hidden as the broken Uchiha boy returns to the graveyard hideout. Tell me about your plan. Obito demands, his bloody visage determined. The Eye of the Moon plan is set into motion once more, and the name Uchiha Madara is passed down to someone young and capable. Black Zetsu is spawned from his will, but only given the absolute critical memories required for the plan to succeed. A sentient clone of himself that could gain self-awareness at any point with his memories would be very bad for Kushina's ongoing existence. He uses his scavenged Sharingan and brings himself back to live out his final days in observation of his daughter. Or at least he had hoped. Kushina's death is his own fault. He caused this. He caused the death of his own daughter to chase a dream instead of fixing reality. He may very well have doomed the world. There is only one hope left. How about we make a deal? If you can master this new exercise before the day is up, I'll come back and teach you a ninjutsu tomorrow. Naruto visibly shakes in excitement. Two figures clad in black and red cloaks look upon Konohagakure from under their straw hats. Feeling homesick? The larger of the two asks with a distinct grin. Red eyes savor the view of their owner's home. Not at all. They slowly make their way through the village. Suspicious glances are abounding. Most likely the result of having been attacked not 6 months ago by enemy nations. For two people to stand out as much as they are right now would be idiotic, least of all for people who are meant to be gathering information in enemy territory. But the Akatsuki is broadcasting a message to the people that they interact with in any capacity. Those who fight them, those who attempt to interrogate, and those who see from the sidelines what they're up to spread word of unnaturally powerful shinobi wearing black cloaks decorated with red clouds. We are here. We are strong. Do not defy us. It is a simple message to a world governed by power. Together, the Akatsuki can topple nations. If people like Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame are the ones taking orders, then what does that say of the monsters with the strength to control them? This organization works in the light and dark simultaneously. The goal is the capture and containment of the Baijuo, but for what purpose Itachi knows not. Akatsuki has been established as a mercenary faction, operating as hired muscle for esteemed and rich clients in secrecy. Some consist of daimyo, others being the greater shinobi villages. Guaranteed success is hiring the Akatsuki, and therein lies the beauty of the manipulation. All they are to the world are mercenaries, hiding their true purpose while gathering intel on the whereabouts of their true goals. This secrecy is a strength of the Akatsuki, but Madara is a fool if he thinks Itachi won't exploit this. Once they are inevitably confronted, Itachi will drop the hints about scouting for Jinchuriki and Baijuo. Capturing multiple Jinchuriki and Baijuo and containing them long enough to seal them one by one is simply not possible, not even for the strongest shinobi in the world. Senju Hashirama may have been able to accomplish such a feat, but if Uchiha Madara himself and a man with the legendary Rinnegan still need days, maybe weeks at a time to seal the Baijuo into the Geto vessel, then it speaks quite clearly that the process is arduously difficult and requires a large number of powerful shinobi to assist them. Itachi had questioned why Madara didn't just capture them in one fell swoop and keep them contained on his own. My battle with Hashirama left me broken and a shadow of my former ability. The masked man speaks factually and clinically. The sealing will require a great deal of time. Only an incredibly powerful wielder of the Rinnegan or the Makuten can control that many Baijuo and Jinchuriki at once, and that time invites the nations that those beasts belong to stop our plans in motion. We do not know where all of the beasts are, nor have we sown enough chaos to make it easier to capture them. The Baijuo must be sealed in order to prevent the vessel from being damaged. Another weakness of the Geto Mazo that Madara confirmed, carelessly. The Baijuo must be sealed in order. And that is part of why he and Kisame had been sent to Konoha, to confirm who the Nibi and Kyubi Jinchuriki are. Word spreading throughout the nation says that Konoha is in control of the Nibi once more, but the Jinchuriki is unknown. Madara suspects that the Kyubi is sealed in the son of Uzumaki Kushina and Namikaze Minato, and that the cover was that it had been sent away by Kushina-sama's powerful Fuinjutsu. It is refreshingly naive that you think your Yondaime defeated me. Madara's voice conveys a smile, even if it is hidden. He may have injured me and caused me to flee to recover, and I suppose that is a testament to his ability. But who walked away from that battle alive? Itachi-kun. The masked man left the battle early, so even he doesn't know where the Kyubi is. But still. Not Namikaze Naruto. Not Uzumaki Naruto. Uchiha Naruto. How could anyone have missed this? How could Madara attack his own daughter? Although thinking about it, Madara also slaughtered Uchiha children in their sleep a few years prior. That alone speaks of his depravity. Of his own depravity. That he would volunteer to cut down his mother and father. How about some sweet buns, Itachi? Kisame asks as they near a shop, dragging him from his thoughts. Itachi says nothing but enters the quaint little restaurant, the low flaps dragging on his hat. Although he'd like a hearty meal for a change, stores like this are full of people mingling and talking about happenings in their vicinity. A waitress approaches them with a pen and pad in hand, held up above a heavily pregnant belly. "May I get you anything, gentlemen?" The waitress gives them a practiced smile. Kisame spouts off an order on both of their behalves, knowing that Itachi isn't fussy. He throws in some tea for good measure. "Your village seems to be in high spirits, young lady." Kisame puts on his best friendly voice. "We were worried when we heard that Konoha had been attacked. We didn't think outsiders would be allowed in at all." Ignoring the fact that they hadn't just been let in. They snuck in like rats in the walls. "It was a terrible day," she sighs sadly. "Many lost their lives, but our shinobi are the strongest in the world. Tsunade-sama is working very hard to make sure everything gets back to normal. We've had some bad luck over the last couple of decades." "Oh, that's right. A terrible incident with the QB happened, right?" Kisame keeps it up. For such a brutish man, Itachi had never suspected he could be so sly. "Yes, apparently the QB was sealed in a woman before that day, and when it came time for her to give birth, it escaped and tore up our village. I was scared for my life, but apparently Yondaime-sama tried to seal it in his son." Tried? Was it too strong? More like Yondaime-sama's wife was too strong. She didn't like what her husband was going to do, so she kind of puffed it away? Like a shinobi trick. "It hasn't come back to haunt us, so I guess whatever she did worked." "That's a relief." Kisame sighs with a fake, unconcerned shrug. "At least I know I'm not gonna be eaten by some giant fox monster today." "Himari. Have the gentleman ordered?" A voice from behind the bakery register calls out. Himari rolls her eyes in exasperation. "Yes, dear. They were just asking about the recent happenings in the village." She turns to them both sheepishly. "I'm sorry, I'll get your order ready right away." Kisame gives her a dismissive wave. "Not a problem, my dear, thank you." The two Akatsuki share a discreet nod, knowing that nothing of actual value was gained from that conversation. It could still be a ploy. The QB may still be sealed in Uchiha Naruto, but unless they get close to him, they won't be able to tell from his chakra if he's a Jinchuriki or not. Itachi and Kisame sit and eat patiently, silently hoping that the woman will come back with some more recent updates from the village. Sasuke makes his way to see Yuito and Himari before going home. Jiraiya had been instructing him to never train in the use of the Nibi's chakra unless supervised by him, Naruto, or the strange Anbu that could apparently suppress Baijuu chakra with the rare Makuten Kekkei Genkai. Naruto had been badgering him to let him know whenever Tenzo was watching him, most likely to observe the Makuten in action to unwittingly help him train in it. Sasuke is the only one that knows what Naruto is up to, seeing as he's the only one that knows that Naruto is trying to see if he can build a Makuten chakra nature using remnants of what is inside of him already. He thinks that Karen might suspect what's going on, although it could just be passed off as another of Naruto's eccentricities that he's suddenly bringing home pots with soil and bulk sachets of plant seeds. He walks under the flaps of the bakery to let his, well, he doesn't know what to call them yet. But he trusts them, and maybe even loves them a little bit. Yuito, Himari. I'm home. He pretends not to notice the two strangely dressed, silent customers at their own table for two. Sasuke. Himari waddles over to him immediately and snags him in a hug. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees the shorter one stiffen ever so slightly. How was training? Come, sit down. It was fine. Naruto thinks that my training is going by pretty quick because I'm compatible with Nibi. And besides, he made the seal, so I guess he knows what he's talking about. He hears a rattle and his eyes are drawn to the mysterious duo in the bakery. He sees a blue hand holding a wobbly cup of tea, under a pale and shaky hand that dropped it. Himari seems not to notice it with civilian senses. I suppose. Himari is ever fretful, not understanding shinobi techniques and culture, but always puts first what she can conceivably understand, and that is the safety of those she considers her own. And besides, putting up with the 9 lives and pussy jokes is harder than the training. Nibi is nicer than Naruto is. Himari narrows her eyes when she hears Yuito cough to hide a laugh. Her head cranes around mechanically and Yuito hides his grin quickly. Sasuke-kun, those men. Sasuke's eyes return to the cloaked strangers, only to find that they aren't there at all. There's a small wad of cash to pay for their meal on the table. Strange folk. Yuito comments idly. Get help. Now. Naruto grins wickedly. Karen is unimpressed. That's it? In a little pot is a bonsai about the size of her pinky finger. I grew this today. Naruto's Sharingan gleams in pure excitement. It's tiny. Karen shoots him down, or tries to. It's progress. Naruto jumps to his feet. Can't you see? I have the Makuten. Oni-chan grew a plant. The only person whose opinion matters leaps to his defense. Naruto smirks. Damn right I did. Naruto turns to face his adorable, sweet baby sister. Only to see Kakashi and Shizune standing behind her, gawping. There's an uncomfortable pause while Naruto thinks of some bullshit to wheedle his way out of admitting that he has the Makuten. Minako ignores this and inspects her own Ai-chan's plant. I actually bought it like that. Naruto tries ineffectually. Kakashi's deadpan expression is outlined on his worn mask. I saw you grow it. Just now. And you said that you have the Makuten. You were all under my genjutsu from the moment you set your eyes on me. No, we aren't. I also heard your careless language in front of my daughter. Shizune gives an equally monotone response. Naruto's eyes narrow. Name your price. Babysitting duty. 2 months. Done. Loud, rushed knocking on the door interrupts their little playful spat. One of Naruto's Kage Bunshin that had been hiding in another room, studying medical ninjutsu, goes to answer it. I still think breathing fire and making a huge skeleton monster is cooler than growing weeds. Karen provides her unfiltered opinion. What if I grew you some flowers? Naruto asks with what he hopes is a convincing, innocent smile. Alright. Show me. Kakashi feels like what he's seeing is an eerie recreation of another time. A younger Kakashi watches his recent mentor confront the brutal redhead from Uzu. I've mastered a jutsu that will be instrumental in defeating you. Minato-sensei looks increasingly crazy as each day passes. Kushina-san is unimpressed. Show me. A kunai whizzes past her head at a speed that little Kakashi couldn't even comprehend. Sensei suddenly appears behind her, sweeping her up in a bridal carry. She looks surprised. Her mouth is hanging open ever so slightly, with the tiniest tinge of pink on her cheeks. Before she clobbers him in what outsiders would call a deathmatch. To the people that know them, it's courting. Kakashi snaps out of the memory and observes Naruto. He watches as Naruto places his hands together in a tight cup shape with his fingers pointed forward. Naruto takes a deep breath, looking unusually calm and at peace. His Sharingan rove over everyone in the room, particularly at Karen and Minako. Life. Naruto whispers to himself, finding some meaning in the single word to drive his spiritual chakra forward. Nothing happens at first. But then they watch as tiny roots form between the gaps in his hands and inordinately larger, green stems with buds on the end sprout at the top. The buds begin to bloom, and Kakashi will admit that he finds himself a little struck to be the witness of something delicately beautiful coming from such a violent person. But even when creating life, death is ever present in Naruto's heart and mind. They seem to be balanced. Never was there an Uchiha that could do something like this. Black roses. The symbolism is not lost on him. Karen doesn't seem to understand it, but this time she's actually impressed with the romantic gift and takes them from his giving hands with a stunning smile. Naruto is delightfully embarrassed. They're so stupid and oblivious. Shizune sighs fondly. Yep. Kakashi smiles. Naruto. Sasuke barges in from the door after apparently being roadblocked by Naruto's clone, which dispels. Kakashi too. Kakashi and Naruto both straighten at Sasuke's serious tone. The Nibi told me that these two foreign shinobi are really powerful. They're skulking around the village right now, we need to find them. Powerful foreign shinobi seems to be an ongoing issue with Konoha as of present. She says that one of them has as much chakra as you do, Naruto. That can't be right. Kakashi is not inexperienced with the unexpected, but Naruto has more chakra than anyone in Konoha. Naruto stands up with crimson eyes glimmering ominously. Maybe we should investigate. Itachi takes control of the administrator girl using his Sharingan. He forces her to use the intercom to speak directly with Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, Uchiha Itachi is here to see you. She speaks as if it's an everyday occurrence. Guard the door. I'll get information about the Jinchuriki myself. Itachi orders Kisame. Hey, you're pretty confident, Itachi-san. Kisame chuckles. His rage is simmering. He can feel it in his eyes. Itachi doesn't let it show on his outside persona, and perhaps he's allowing his emotions to control him like so many in his clan before him. Sasuke is the Jinchuriki of the Nibi. He opens the door, coming face to face with Tsunade and her elderly advisors. There is clear and blatant fear on the faces of the advisors, and Tsunade is tense, knowing that if it truly came to it then she would not be able to defeat him alone. And then he slams the door shut behind him. Why is my brother a Jinchuriki? The terse demand that is hardly a question spurs Tsunade to provide a quick response. Sasuke willingly became the Jinchuriki after the Nibi was used to assault Konoha. Tsunade answers, and there is something very careful about her words that Itachi does not agree with. Do you understand how much this compromises my mission? Itachi narrows his burning eyes. I will do anything to protect him, but even I cannot protect him from the Akatsuki leaders. both of which are stronger than I. At which point did you think it would be acceptable to make my brother a Jinchuriki when the most powerful criminal organization in history is hunting the Baijiu? Tsunade's hands clenched tighter together. It was not by choice. Sasuke was the only person in the vicinity that could safely contain it during the invasion. The person that sealed it couldn't seal it in themselves, so they took the next best option, which Sasuke volunteered to do. Regardless of your love for your brother, Konoha has not stopped moving forward in time since you left. The life of a shinobi is tumultuous, you know this better than anyone. Itachi takes note of the deliberate way she doesn't include the sealer's gender, but it matters little given what he learned at the bakery earlier. Uchiha Naruto. Perhaps I should have a word with him. Her eyes narrow. You'll regret that wish. There is a bright flash of blue light outside the Hokage's office window. A massive construct with glowing yellow eyes moves its arm in a punch is rapidly approaching the glass panes, making the light blue glow unbearable to look at. Kisame bursts through the door. Itachi-san. Itachi morphs his Sharingan into their Mangekyou state and yellow chakra rushes up around him. Tsunade grabs her two advisors by their robes and leaps out one of the windows, smashing her head through the glass without injury. There is only a second before collision. Naruto, Sasuke and Kakashi leap at incredible speed across the rooftops to the location of the powerful shinobi. The Nibi points Sasuke in the general direction, leading Naruto to sense more precisely where they are. The Hokage Tower, Naruto speaks aloud over the rushing wind. Nibi is right, one of them has a certain affinity with enormous chakra. The other he cuts himself off with a clenched jaw. Naruto? Kakashi's tone is short and clipped, wanting to know about the other intruder. The other one is an Uchiha with the Mangekyou Sharingan. Sasuke falters, Sharingan whirling into life in response to negative emotions. Itachi. He breathes. They had been that close to his family? Both of you get close to me. Naruto orders, not giving Sasuke any time to think. His eyes transform into their Mangekyou state. Susanoo. They quickly become nestled in the stomach of the imperfect Susanoo. It tramples through the streets as everyone leaps out of the way. Shinobi quickly fall in line and follow Naruto's creation, knowing that this is too serious not to drop everything. Naruto makes his approach, sensing the precise location of his target in Tsunade's office and knows he needs to make a decisive move to protect the Hokage. The fist of his Susanoo launches through the windows and collides with something that doesn't budge an inch. His eyes widen. What in the hell could stop his Susanoo? Naruto focuses his Sharingan, seeing the bright yellow chakra blocking his punch with a massive shield. I see. He mutters aloud. Itachi's Susanoo ability must stop all frontal damage. He wonders how much it can withstand before breaking. The two robed nin make several synchronized leaps to the Hokage mountain, running east on it to make a quick escape. Yasaka no Magatama. Naruto summons 3 Magatama in each palm of his Susanoo, sending them flying erratically at each side of Itachi to prevent all of them from being blocked. Sasuke's clear eye changed to the Nibis, creating his own jutsu with its chakra. Katen, Kasha Hozenka. Kasha Phoenix Sage Fire, blue, almost decorative flames flurry out of the Susanoo in a combined assault. The blue shark man weaves his way through several signs before spitting out a veritable tsunami. Suten, Daibaka Suishoha. Great exploding water colliding wave, the colossal tidal wave absorbs all of the force from Naruto's Magatama, stopping them in the waterfall that's now tipping into the village. Sasuke's fireballs fizzle out despite the Baijiu chakra. With the villagers now at risk to the rushing waters, Naruto is forced to abandon his pursuit of the criminals and join the efforts to contain the water. The water descends rapidly over the academy, and Naruto wills his Susanoo to drop Kakashi and Sasuke down. He rushes and stands over the academy and hears the panic screaming from the children. About a dozen of the shinobi that followed him to the Hokage Tower all slam their hands on the Hokage mountain in unison. Doton, Doriyuki. Earth-style wall. Walls sprout out of the mountain, forming a bowl of earth over the academy and the water crashes into it. Naruto knows that it won't hold long enough to save the students and teachers and makes his Susanoo squat under the bowl, holding it up with its back and arms. The pressure of the lake and stones strains him as he struggles to maintain form. The knees of his Susanoo buckle. He really only has one option left. Naruto has never tried before, but lives are on the line. Tsunade barks orders at the Doton shinobi, telling them to make an aqueduct as soon as possible. She doesn't know how long Naruto can hold up a lake on his own, so she seeks to drain the water to the border of the village and evacuate the academy and surrounding area. She watches as Naruto falters under the strain before a massive upswing of chakra hits the senses of every sensor type in the entire village. The light blue Susanoo glows even brighter. Plates move along its skin as it grows larger and larger. A hood shaped like a dragon swallows the head of the construct and transforms it into something distinctly different to before, menacing gold chakra in its fiery mouth under a long demonic nose. The ball being grows swaying hair with twin locks on either side clasped by bands. And then a pair of majestic wings unfurl, spreading wide and holding up the lake on their own. Naruto's Susanoo settles into a kneel and is now unfazed by the immense weight on its back. In the jewel on its forehead, Naruto resides patiently. At first. Then he becomes less enthused. If you don't mind, I have places to be fools. Get this damn lake off of me. A day passes from the utter chaos of another attack on Konoha. Naruto is present in the meeting room of the Hokage Tower while repairs are made to Tsunade's office. Jiraiya has returned after mingling with some of his sources one town over to see if Itachi and Kisame had been present at all. Kakashi, Sasuke, the Shinobi Council and elder advisors are all congregated in the same place. The Godime brings everyone's attention to her. The Akatsuki is our discussion point today. We have managed to confirm that this criminal organization almost exclusively consists of S-rank shinobi, and that their goal is the capture of Jinchuriki and Baijuo. The two confirmed members are Hoshigaki Kisame, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, and Uchiha Itachi from our own village. We don't have an accurate time frame for when they actually start hunting the Baijuo. Shikaku speaks up, giving his opinion on the situation. All we know is that this was a scouting mission to confirm who the Jinchuriki of the Nibi is, and if we had any other Jinchuriki in our possession. Sasuke nearly sneers at the word possession. Naruto openly gives his own statement. We can no longer retaliate against Kumagakure and Orochimaru. The chaos of war will make it far easier for the Akatsuki to mobilize and capture the Jinchuriki. Current grudges need to be settled unless it provides a pathway to intel about the members of this organization. The more Baijuo they capture, the more powerful they become. Theoretically, Sasuke is no longer safe in Konoha. Jiraiya states. He needs to be taken away in case more members of the Akatsuki come to capture him. He'll need to be on the move until we get an estimation of when they'll start their operation. Absolutely not. Koharu objects. Sasuke must stay in Konoha where he has the support of the village to defend him. Homura continues. Keeping Sasuke here is inviting more chaos. The ease at which they nearly killed the academy students is proof of that alone. If they bring even more members with destructive abilities, there won't be any shinobi that can defend him, least of all against Itachi who may be stronger than our Hokage. Naruto refutes stoically. The passphrase to the detection barrier around Konoha will also need to be updated. Tsunade sighs, rubbing her forehead before looking at Sasuke. What do you think of this? Sasuke doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to go right before his honorary family has their first child, but he doesn't want them to be used against him if he stays. Sasuke trails, unsure of what to say. I'll take him. Jiraiya offers. I can keep an eye on the seal and train him in the use of the Nibi's chakra on the road while we gather information about the Akatsuki. Do you agree with this, Sasuke? Tsunade asks tiredly. There's a brief pause before his hesitant response. Yes. I agree. Jiraiya puts a hand on his shoulder. Come on kid. Say goodbye to everyone because we need to go as soon as possible. The sage ruffles Naruto's hair. Good luck kiddo, I'll see you when I see you. You too, old man. Naruto turns to Sasuke, putting out his arm. Sasuke clasps him by the forearm, looking disappointed at the result of this meeting. I'll see you, Naruto. Yeah Sasuke. I wish things hadn't turned out like this. You were starting to become bearable. Likeable even. Sasuke smiles wryly. I wish I could say that you're bearable. He says, to which Naruto smirks. I hope you kick yourself in the balls on the way out the village. Naruto bids him farewell. Kakashi gets his word in before they go. I'm proud of you Sasuke, more than you realize. I hope your journey is safe. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke grabs him by the arm as well, not knowing how to state just how important Kakashi has been to him over the past year. Sasuke and Jiraiya leave, and it's back to business in the meeting room. I'm going to request time away from the village as well. Naruto begins. My destructive power cannot be practiced or refined here. I need space to prevent anyone from being at risk. Because of your Susanoo? Tsunade cuts in before her advisors can shoot it down. That, but also because of this. Naruto weaves a snake seal. There is only a brief pause before a tiny tree with black leaves grows on the end of the round meeting desk. Gasps echo in the hall. Tsunade gapes, and not one person mentions her emotional visage. Sasuke's throat is tight when he visits Himari and Yuito. Sasuke? Himari asks softly. I've come to say goodbye. His voice gets hoarse. They're a group of powerful criminals who want the Nibi inside of me, and I need to leave the village for a while to keep everyone safe. Oh honey. He breaks down against his will. Sasuke spends the last of his time in Konoha with his family. Karen. We're going on vacation. Sweet. Let me pack my stuff. I need to say goodbye to my baby sister anyway. This is it, huh? Sakura tears up. Team 7 is assembled at the main gate of Konoha. Naruto is cuddling Minako, but when she proves inconsolable, he manages to pass her back to her glistening-eyed mother. Don't worry Sakura. Naruto gives her that ever-cocky smile. We'll be together again. This is just the life of a shinobi in our age. We do what we have to. I know. She wraps her arms around her beloved teammates. You two better not forget about me. Never, Sakura. Naruto and Sasuke speak in unison. See ya, Sakura. Karen bids her goodbye as well. Bye Karen, take care of this reckless dummy for me will you? Naruto rolls his eyes as Karen nods solemnly. They all turn and leave. Naruto and Karen split at the road, and give one last wave to Sasuke and Jiraiya. A week passes and Naruto uses the fist of his Susanoo to smash through an inconspicuous area in a vast field with tall grass. He and Karen drop down into a small stone lair. Naruto pushes open the crypt in the middle of the room and takes an object out of it. Uchiha Madara's gunby blasts the dust out of the tomb. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.